December 19, 2020, two of Alexis Sharkey's friends, Tanya and Kendra, spoke with the Critical K in an interview. The link for this interview will be in the description below. Just hours before this interview took place, a few of Alexis's friends posted things like "I hope you're ready for the storm." And more noise is being made and new info will be coming to light soon. This is just the beginning. We will get justice for Lex, #Justice for Alexis on their Instagrams. We will also continue to follow up on this case and bring you the updates we have. So make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and if you're feeling ever so kind, we'd really appreciate a like, a share, and a comment or two. There's a lot of ground to cover here, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right on in. Tom and Alexis had been together for about 3 years. They moved around a lot, and as we all know, they appeared to travel a lot too. Well, Alexis did anyway, before Alexis and Tom settled into their life in Houston. They apparently decided to take a very long road trip. Her friends allege they seemed to be just kind of traveling from hotel to hotel. For a few months or so, she was doing her Monat thing at the time, as this allowed her to travel and pretty much do as she pleased. So, what did Tom do for a living? Well, we're not sure. Tom told some people he was in the oil field, he did something in pool construction, and he even recently told someone he had an interview at the local zoo. They think Alexis was the breadwinner, as she started to make really good money with Monat. Something had to have happened since this long road trip / vacation and Alexis's death, but we're really not sure what. The friends allege things were just simply not as seemingly perfect as she tried to possibly make them seem on social media. But I mean, who really wants to put all of their dirty laundry on the internet? Tanya even claims they had gone to the bank to split up assets and started the paperwork for a divorce the week of Thanksgiving. At some point, it's even alleged neighbors next door moved out because of potential fighting. So here's what we know about Thanksgiving and that night. Do you remember how it was said Tom and Alexis spent Thanksgiving morning together as they ate before she went to her friends? Maybe even something about having breakfast. Well, Tanya said, that's not how it happened. Tanya alleges Tom made food around for her, but Alexis didn't eat because she wasn't even there. In fact, they said Alexis ate more than anyone else that day. It seemed more than obvious to them that story was all a lie. Tanya said Alexis left a little after midnight from Tanya's and went out with a friend. It appears she knew who this person was, but wouldn't say who. She mentioned potentially going to a bar when she left with this friend. Tanya said she only lives about 15 minutes away from Alexis's apartment. So, Alexis left her car at her house and just went out for a little bit. Around 2:30 a.m. Alexis sent a text to Tanya about items she left at her home. It appears she was trying to get into Tanya's to grab her things while she grabbed her car, but Tanya was sleeping. Alexis proceeded to get her car and go home. Tanya said she wakes up and gets back to Alexis around 7:30 a.m. or 8 a.m. They talked by text about her belongings and such. She didn't post much online on Friday, but she talked to many of the girls throughout the day until she had her "oh shit" moment and realized it was Friday. Tanya stayed in on Friday with her mom. A few other girls were out of town, so Alexis is alleged to have stayed in. Tanya said Tom wasn't there, but she didn't know where he was. Alexis allegedly mentioned to Tanya she had the house to herself. There's no digital footprint after she went dark on social media. According to Tanya, she's known to be posting constantly on social media, especially if she was home, but Tanya doesn't remember her posting anything at all on Friday. The last time anyone spoke to her was between 5:45 to 6:30 Friday evening. Just as a refresher, Alexis Sharkey was a beautiful, bright 26-year-old businesswoman who disappeared the day after Thanksgiving. Almost a month later, there are still very few answers when it comes to what happened to Alexis. She was ultimately found a few miles from her home Saturday, that next morning, on the side of the road. One of the friends who was in this interview was one of two friends who reported Alexis missing. At least one of those girls was also a part of her recent girl trips to Mexico. The ones who said Alexis told them some things about Tom and how he was abusive to her on this trip. They also claim during this very vacation, Alexis met a friend that just so happened to be a male. They claim this may have been what led to an alleged affair, but they said there was no affair that they knew about. Anyway, at one point, they said there was an Instagram story posted on Alexis's Instagram of the friends, but that was about it. Tanya and Kendra said this man has an alibi for that night and was at work that evening at a bar, and they know for a fact he was there. They know this because they know this man's boss. Now, let's talk about the husband and what he was up to that day. Tanya says they think he was gone all day and Alexis wasn't expecting Tom to come home. They later specified they believe it's possible Tom could have been texting her friends acting like Alexis. But they believe by the way she talked. It was in fact Alexis. They say her last communication was at 6:30 for that evening. About 9:30 that same night, Tom reached out to Chelsea's boyfriend, John, by Facebook. They weren't close friends and he allegedly found this strange. Tom asked him to call him but he didn't until after 11 p.m. He was asking if anyone had heard from Alexis. He said she left the house and didn't know where she went. When they finally spoke by phone, Tom told John something like, there was a fight that night between him and Alexis, and she jumped the fence but he wasn't sure where she went. It had been said prior that he told her not to drive, as she was intoxicated. Her friends said she might have had a cocktail at home. But she's not one to drink much by herself. She also said Alexis always carried herself very well and isn't known to be belligerent. Even when she drank, she always seemed to be able to handle herself. John tried to reassure him she was likely okay. It's clear now, he just had no idea what was really going on. After John mentions the phone call he had with Tom to Chelsea. Saturday morning, the group of friends start to panic. They begin to put two and two together. Radio silence from Alexis since the night prior. Plus, this big alleged story to John equals bad news. Now her friends want to know, where is Alexis? Kendra reached out to Tom on Saturday when they couldn't find Alexis. Tom responded saying Alexis left around 6 p.m. yesterday. She hasn't really been herself. She was dealing with some demons, going through a phase you could say. She wouldn't respond to anyone. I've been on the phone with Sprint, trying to get them to search the last location of her phone. The police confiscated what she had, here, at the apartment. She said he seemed to have an agenda behind these messages. He appeared to be trying to paint a negative picture about Alexis to her. In the days since Alexis's death, Tom has continued to talk to friends on the phone. He seems to be doing the same thing to each of them. Saying she was addicted to sex, had a drug and alcohol problem, had numerous affairs and more. These calls are all said to have been recorded. They claim he was running her name through the mud. They said the narrative he kept repeating just wasn't the one they knew. Here is what they think happened to Alexis. They think she tried to get into the shower and Tom came home. They think he saw her phone and might not have liked what he saw. They think at this point, an altercation may have taken place. If she did leave without clothes, they think this may have been why. But if Tom did something, they think he panicked and again, this would be why she would have been naked. But many questions still remain. Like, how easy would it be to carry a naked, adult, female from place A to place B, where she was found, if she stopped all communication with everyone early in the evening, on a day that it was said to likely be raining? This makes it plausible less people would be outside and would see. But still, how likely is this? Anyway, let's continue. The friends say absolutely nothing was near her body. Yet Tom told the friends she left the house wearing sweats, a crop top sweatshirt, and white sneakers. They say if she was going out, she wouldn't be wearing that. She would have been dressed up. Tanya and Desiree went to the apartment on Saturday. Desiree went up to the door, but no one answered. They continued to try to reach her, without success, so Desiree decides to go to the door again. But not success. They also added, Alexis has a Ring doorbell that records video. They continued to sit in the car at the apartment, waiting on Alexis. As they continued to confirm with friends, no one had seen or talked to Alexis. After approximately 3 hours, they proceeded to call 911 and report Alexis missing. Not knowing what else to do next, they claim, as the missing persons report was being filed, Tom conveniently walks into the leasing office. The cops allegedly proceeded to take Tom with them into the apartment. Police allege nothing seemed out of the ordinary. To their knowledge, there has been no further search of the apartment. No dogs, no pleas for help, no updates, no nothing. They also feel the police aren't taking the abuse as seriously as they should. Between Tom and Alexis, the police allegedly said something like, women usually overreact to this kind of stuff. So they didn't seem to believe the friends from the beginning. They also allege Tom has yet to be interrogated. As of the date of this interview airing, December 19, 2020. Well, to their knowledge, anyway. Now, here are a few other things we learned from this interview. The friends also allege the cameras that are in the apartment complex, facing the direction Tom alleges Alexis left, were conveniently not working. They also said there was rough brush along the fence, so she would have some markings from that occurrence. We've always been told there were no visible injuries or cause of death. So this would be inconsistent with what Tom has been saying. that she jumped the fence. There is no back way out of the apartment they're aware of, so it appears she would have had to have gone through the front door. With the Ring video camera, they think something happened to Alexis at her apartment. Alexis and Tom shared a Jeep in Texas. They say Tom's vehicle has been in Colorado, but now that vehicle has miraculously showed up in Texas. They even allege Tom currently isn't staying there and is staying in his car. But he is getting someone to take care of the 3 cats she had. Such a strange thing. They said the reason the next of kin was changed on the death certificate was Tom himself. He allegedly let the time frame pass for him to make arrangements for Alexis's body. So the next of kin was then changed to her parents. So even though they were married, he didn't do his job as a next of kin and spouse. So he more or less just left everything up to Alexis's parents to handle. They also cover the 7 they frequently refer to are both Monat and her Bumble friends. The girls also allege Tom told some of them they needed to be careful of some of the other 7, as they're not currently on his list yet. They took this as a threat and some have even stayed away from their homes at times since this all transpired. So, now that we know all of this, combined with the recent reports released by the Houston Police Department, the allegations made in one of his past divorces, and more, what are your thoughts? Do you feel any more or less towards your prior opinion? Did someone Alexis knew hurt her? We want to hear what you think about this case, down below. Our continued thoughts and prayers are with Alexis's family and friends. We hope Alexis gets the justice she deserves very soon. I'm sure there's something I missed and left out from the latest interview, but I think this about sums it all up. Stay safe and happy holidays. We'll see you all next time.